On the day of the grand wedding, I had just stepped off the bridal sedan chair and was about to enter the gates of the Marquis of Ning'an's Manor, but the heir Sheng held me back. Nanzhi, wait. Through the veil, I saw another woman wearing a wedding dress standing in front of the manor. He whispered to me, "Cousin Linger is pregnant with my flesh and blood. I can't let my eldest son be born of a concubine, so would it be all right if she enters the household together with you? From now on, there will be no distinction of rank between you two. You will address each other as sisters." The big red bridal sedan, the phoenix crown and cloud cape, these are the rights for marrying a legal wife. I stopped in my tracks, tore off the veil, and said, "Hold on. When you came to propose, your Marquis of Ning'an's Manor agreed beforehand that you could only take a concubine if you were childless at 40. Now you are going back on your word. What is this supposed to be?" Sheng's face darkened. "Linger is a co-wife, not a concubine. My Marquis of Ning'an's Manor hasn't gone back on its word." I smiled since he went back on his word first. He can't blame me for what happens next. And the Marquis's manor can forget about getting my 500,000 taels of dowry silver that they're waiting on to save their skins. I threw the red veil onto the ground and shouted sharply, "Men, carry the dowry back to the Shen family. I am not getting married anymore." Sheng froze for a moment, then grabbed hold of me. "Shen, Nanzhi, what are you doing? You've gotten off the sedan chair, and you are standing right in front of the Marquis's manor. What kind of joke is this?" I shook him off. "Why must I marry you? Raising your cousin to be a co-wife right when the new bride is entering the door. Are you banking on the fact that since I've reached this stage, I have no way out and must marry into your Marquis's manor? I am afraid you've got the wrong idea." Sheng's face turned pale with anger. "How did the Shen family raise you? How dare you speak so disrespectfully to your husband? Where have your studies of the 3 obediences and 4 virtues and the precepts for women gone?" I retorted sharply. "The heir's books of sages have all been read into a dog's belly, yet you still have the nerve to question my virtue. A gentleman keeps his word. When the heir came to propose, you said you would only take a concubine if you were childless at 40, but now you pull a stunt like this right in front of the bride. Since you can break your word, why can't I go back on mine?" "Cousin," a timid voice rang out. It was Sheng's cousin, Song Linger, who was covered by a red bridal veil. Supported by a maid, she stepped forward and curtsied to me through the red veil. "Sister, this is all Linger's fault. I only beg Sister to accept Linger. Linger only seeks a place to shelter and will absolutely not vie with Sister for favor." She bowed deeply again, and the red veil gently slipped off, drawing a gasp of surprise from the crowd. Song Linger's delicate, moving face was revealed to the crowd, her eyes holding misty tears, truly a sight to make anyone feel pity. Sheng gritted his teeth and growled, "Linger is being so humble. Isn't that giving you enough face? Must you embarrass her in front of everyone, just to let people know that you are the heir's wife of the Marquis of Ning'an? Does that make you feel powerful enough?" Just then, the Marchioness of Ning'an rushed out from inside the gate. "What is going on? The auspicious hour is almost here. Why haven't you entered the residence yet?" Seeing Song Linger, she immediately came down in distress to support her. "Oh my, we can't let my dear grandchild get tired." "Hurry, help the madam inside!" I snorted coldly. "Heir Chi, since you already have a wife, there is no need to pester me any more. Our marriage is hereby cancelled. From now on, we each marry whom we please and have nothing to do with each other." The Marchioness of Ning'an glared at me viciously. "Shen Nanzhi, I only went to ask for your hand back then because I saw how well behaved you were. But how can you not even tolerate your husband having children with other women? A jealous woman like you would be cast out with a divorce letter in any other family, yet you still want to put on airs." My nanny, however, stepped forward unceremoniously. "Madam, our miss hasn't even entered the gates of your Chi family yet, so what is this talk of divorce letters?" Sheng's face was livid. "Shen Nanzhi, I've already given you enough face. Don't be so ungrateful. Making a scene about going back to your maiden home on our wedding day, do you think the Shen family would still want you? Who would dare to marry you in the future? By then, I am afraid it'll be hard for you to even become a concubine in the Ning'an Marquis manor." Even if you perform the 3 kneelings and 9 kowtows to beg me, don't dream that I'll ever nod in agreement again. What a joke, the Shen family would beg you. Just wait until the Marquis comes back. When he finds out this marriage didn't happen, he'll break his legs. I turned around resolutely. Please bear witness for me, everyone. The heir of the Ning'an Marquisate, Sheng, broke his promise first on our wedding day. Before the rites were even complete, he tried to force me to agree to his cousin entering the household as an equal wife. She is even already pregnant out of wedlock, secretly carrying his child. Since Heir Qi has long been in love with his cousin, I, Shen Nanzhi, will do the gracious thing and call off this marriage. From this moment on, the Shen family has absolutely nothing to do with the Ning'an Marquis Manor. Having said that, I took the marriage contract with Sheng from my maid's hand and tore it to shreds right then and there. Shen Nanzhi, you dare. Sheng roared as he watched the scraps drifting in the wind. I turned and got into the bridal sedan chair. Lift the dowry. We're going back to the Shen home. The crowd of onlookers had already exploded into an uproar. This heir of the Ning'an Marquisate is bullying her too much. The bride was just about to cross the threshold, and he says he wants to marry an equal wife. Isn't this just bullying the Shen family? Well, the Shen family are just Imperial merchants after all. How can commoners fight against officials? Isn't this song Linger the cousin staying at the Marquis Manor? How did she end up with a big belly? Seeing that I was about to take my 10 miles of dowry back home, the Marchioness of Ning'an immediately panicked. Quick, stop her, at worst. We'll coax her into being the main wife first, and let Linger be a concubine. We can make Linger an equal wife after she gives birth. Anyway, once she is married in, won't she be completely at our mercy? With a command from Sheng, the servants of the Marquis Manor swarmed up to block my path. I let out a cold snort. I am the only daughter of the Shen family. Because of our immense wealth, I've had highly skilled guards by my side since childhood. Before Sheng's men could even get close, they had already shielded me behind them. Sheng rushed over and reached out to grab me. I swung my hand and slapped him across the face. Sheng, you broke your promise first, and now you want to force yourself on a civilian woman. Under the Emperor's very nose. Aren't you afraid of punishment? Sheng burned with rage. Shen Nanzhi, no matter whose family you marry into, having 3 wives and 4 concubines is inevitable. Why put on such an act here? Do you think just because you have a large dowry you can control your husband's family? You truly are a merchant's daughter, reeking of copper coins. Song Linger threw herself over after seeing Sheng get hit. Cousin. Then she looked at me with red eyes. Sister, why get so angry? Don't you know the reason cousin wants to marry me? If it weren't for the fact that your body is damaged and you can't bear children, cousin wouldn't have kept it a secret for the sake of your reputation. Do you really want to end the Marquis's family line? I am carrying cousin's flesh and blood. When I give birth to the eldest legitimate son and the Marquis's household has an heir to continue the line, you, as the madame, can finally be at ease, can't you? As soon as the words left her mouth, I froze, looking at Sheng in disbelief until he lowered his head. My eyes suddenly stung. 2 years ago, Sheng fell into the river outside the Shen family manor. I happened to be playing by the riverside, and seeing that he was about to be swept away by the current thinking that saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda, I jumped right in because it was the dead of winter. I also caught a chill and lay in bed for a full 2 months before getting better. When the doctor examined her, he said her body had suffered from the cold, and that bearing children in the future might be somewhat difficult, but he never said she couldn't bear children. The Marquis of Ning'an's Manor took notice of me because of this. Knowing I was the Shen family's legitimate daughter, they even came to propose marriage under the guise of repaying a life-saving debt. First, they gained the good name of repaying a kindness. Second, the Shen family was the richest in the dynasty, so my dowry could conveniently solve the crisis the Marquis of Ning'an's Manor was facing. Now, Songlinger is publicly twisting the truth, claiming I can't bear children. My eyes reddened as I looked at Sheng. His gaze shifted, afraid to look me in the eye, as he just mumbled. I didn't mean to reveal it to her. I just said let her have a few more children, so eventually one could be adopted by you to be raised at your knee. I married her and brought her in for your own good. If you are willing, Linger said, she is willing to put her eldest son under your name and have him recognize you as his legitimate mother. How does that sound? With a smack. I slapped him across the face again. Your Ning'an Marquis manor really has some nerve. If I'd known you were such a heartless bastard, I should have just let you drown in the river back then. I never would have jumped in to save you. You absolutely make me sick. Saying that, I turned to get into the sedan, but he grabbed my sleeve again. Nanzhi, stop making a scene. With a clang, I drew a guard's sword, and with a rip, I sliced the sleeve of my wedding dress right off. Lift the sedan, go home. When the bridal sedan returned to the Shen house, the guests had not yet dispersed. My parents turned pale with shock when they saw me enter the door in my wedding dress, followed by a vast dowry procession. What happened? I threw myself into Mother's arms. Mother, you must stand up for your daughter. The Marquis of Ning'an's household has gone too far. After hearing the whole story, Father was so angry his face turned livid. Good, good. What a Marquis of Ning'an. Since that is the case, let this marriage be called off. From now on, the affairs of the heir of Marquis Ning'an have nothing to do with our Shen family. None of you need to show him any favors on my account. Ever since I got engaged to Sheng 2 years ago, Father has spent silver like water to manage connections in the court for him and pave the way for his career. Yet he actually thought it was his own ability that got him promoted several times in 2 years. Little did he know that this was all a path paved by Father with silver. Even the other people from the Marquis of Ning'an's household don't have to pay when shopping at the Shen family's stores. But who would have thought it would just feed their arrogance? And now they're acting all high and mighty. The Qi family is on its last legs, and their descendants are all good-for-nothings. Their ruin is just a matter of time. Since our Shen family could lift them up to the clouds, we can also make them fall into the mud. The next day, the news that the heir to the Marquis of Ning'an gave the Shen family's daughter a hard time on his wedding day, publicly slapped the bride in the face, and secretly knocked up his cousin spread through the capital as if it had grown wings. The Shen family are imperial merchants and filthy rich. If I hadn't been engaged to Sheng, the people coming to the Shen family to propose would probably have worn down the threshold. After all, who doesn't love shiny white silver? Sure enough, as soon as the news got out, invitations asking Mother to tea and flower viewings piled up on the table the next day, and there was no shortage of the capital's powerful elite among them. Since I was about to marry into the Marquis's manor to prepare for a rainy day, I had long since bribed some informants in the Marquis's manor. No news has spread that, after I left, Sheng went ahead and tied the knot with that songlinger. The Marchioness of Ning'an even said with a scornful look, Shenger mother absolutely forbids you from going to the Shen family to coax that Shen Nanzhi. She thinks just because her dowry is generous, she can control our Marquis manor. I am going to let her know that in a high-ranking noble family, a merchant's daughter is only fit to be a concubine. Letting her be an equal wife is already giving the Shen family face. Wait until your father returns, and we'll go over to demand an explanation. If she doesn't double the dowry by then, she can forget about ever entering the gates of our Marquis of Ning'an Manor again. Songlinger also chimed in to persuade, husband's sister is barren. This news has already spread, so who would marry her in the future? She has nowhere else to go but to marry you. Mother is right. Give her the cold shoulder for a few days to break her spirit, and let her know that her husband is her heaven. Sheng thought that made sense, and felt completely at ease, spending some time being all lovey-dovey with Songlinger. Unexpectedly, the Marquis of Ning'an rushed back to the capital 2 months later. Holding the secret letter sent to him from within the capital, he gave Sheng a vicious kick as soon as he stepped through the door. You idiot. I went to such great lengths to secure this marriage for the Marquis of Ning'an's manor. The bride was practically crossing the threshold, and you actually screwed it up. You take some gifts right now, whether you go to apologize or sweet-talk her, just marry her and bring her home immediately. The Marchioness of Ning'an screamed, My lord, why did you hit Shenger? That Shen Nanzhi disrespects her elders, disobeys her husband, and lacks any semblance of virtue. Allowing someone like her in as a concubine is already flattering her. The Marquis was furious. Shut up, an indulgent mother ruins her son. Do you think the Shen family is a pushover? Imperial merchants. Imperial merchants. The Shen family's lady is His Majesty's newly appointed noble consort. Countless people are waiting to rope in the Shen family. As long as Sheng marries her, his meteoric rise will be just around the corner. The Marquis muttered. But she is a merchant's daughter. How can she be taken as the principal wife? The Marquis's face was livid. Don't you mention the words merchant woman to me again? She is your son's lifesaver, and you'd have a lifesaver be a concubine. Does the Marquis Manor still want any face? Wait until she is married in, the money is in hand, and the Manor's deficit is filled. Then have Her Highness in the palace whisper a few words. What need is there to worry about Sheng's future? Simply foolish. What are your brains filled with? A wonderful matter has been ruined by you, just like that. You mother and son go apologize immediately and beg for her to come back. Also, that Songlinger, is she qualified to be an equal wife? You have to know the marriage contract states the Shen daughter is the legal wife. How could you do such a thing on the wedding day? By offending the nobles in the palace. Do you think the Qi family isn't dying fast enough? When you go to the Shen family, bring Songlinger along. Tell the Shen family that this Linger is merely a concubine to set the Shen family's mind at ease. Madame Marquis and Qi Sheng were reprimanded by the Marquis, breaking out in cold sweats from fear, and immediately prepared gifts to head to the Shen family. As soon as Qi Sheng entered the Shen house, he knelt before me with a thud. Nanzhi, it is all my fault. I have come to apologize to you. Madame Marquis also took my hand and said, Sheng was drunk that day. That is why he did such a foolish thing. Nanzhi, don't blame him. He knew he was wrong once he sobered up. The shock made him fall seriously ill. He only got better yesterday and came to apologize to you. Look, these gifts were all personally chosen by Sheng. He said he'd pick another lucky day to carry you through the door in an 8-bearer sedan chair as his lawful wife. Qi Sheng nodded and shuffled on his knees to me. Nanzhi, rest assured, that Songlinger has already been demoted to a concubine. She will absolutely never rank above you. Songlinger looked at me with red eyes. Elder sister, from now on, little sister will surely honor you as the head and wouldn't dare to overstep again. Father slapped the table. Is the legitimate daughter of my Shen family someone you can marry when you want and discard when you don't? Men, throw all these things out for me. Please show the heir and the Marchioness out as well. Our Shen family isn't worthy of climbing up to your Marquis' manor. I have already chosen a good husband for my daughter. Heir Qi, go marry someone else. The Marchioness's face darkened. We came here humbling ourselves to apologize. You should know when to quit while you are ahead. Apart from the Ning'an Marquis Manor, who else would dare want your daughter? A merchant's daughter, and one who can't bear children at that. She is only fit to be a concubine in a noble house. We're giving her the title of a lawful wife purely out of respect for Her Highness. Don't be ungrateful when we're giving you face. We've even demoted Linger, who is carrying the Marquis Manor's eldest grandson, to a concubine now. What more do you want? Mother, why aren't you keeping Juju company today? A milk baby about 2 years old lunged over to hug my leg, as cute as a ball of snowy jade. Qi Sheng's face went pale. What did she call you? Pearl hugged my leg tightly, looking at Qi Sheng. Mother. Qi Sheng stood up, his face dark, and slapped me viciously across the face. You dare cheat on me behind my back? The Marchioness screamed. You have some nerve, Shen Nanzhi. You hid having a child from our Marquis Manor, and the child is already this big. Do you know that someone like you is to be drowned in a pig cage? Now if you want to marry into the Marquis's manor, don't even dream of entering without a dowry of 1,000,000 taels. Sheng, you've been wronged for a girl like this. Being a bed warmer in the Marquis's manor is enough. She doesn't even deserve the title of a concubine. You are committing marriage fraud. You cheated behind our backs before the wedding and even have a bastard. Men seize Shen Nanzhi and this bastard together and drown them in a pig cage for me. The people from the Marquis's manor immediately surrounded us. Pearl clung tightly to my leg, looking fearfully at the Chi mother and son. I comforted the child, but just as I was about to speak, I was interrupted by a cold voice. Who wants to drown this prince's daughter in a pig cage? Walking in leisurely was His Highness Prince Ying. Dressed in fine brocade and still holding steaming hot pastries in his hand, he looked coldly at the Marchioness of Ning'an and the heir. The Marchioness of Ning'an didn't recognize him because Prince Ying had always been in his fief and rarely returned to the capital. The late princess consort died in childbirth when delivering the commandery princess, so he only had one apple of his eye, which was this little dumpling Zhenju. Prince Ying brought his daughter, commandery princess Jianan, back to the capital this time to celebrate the Empress Dowager's birthday. Unexpectedly, the servants weren't watching closely for a moment and let Zhenzu wander off. She ran into the Shen family's pastry shop, and I picked her up right there. I don't know what was going on with Zhenju. The first time she saw me, she hugged my leg and called me mother until Prince Ying came looking for her. After that day, Zhenju would come to the Shen house every day to find me, calling me mother whenever she saw me. Prince Ying doted on his daughter like his life, and having nothing to do all day, he would carry Zhenzu to the Shen manor to find me. Zhenzu always loved calling me mother, which really baffled me. Prince Ying explained that it might be because Zhenju's birth mother liked making pastries and always had the sweet scent of pastries on her. Perhaps Zhenju smelled the scent on me, found it familiar, and mistook me for her mother. At this moment, Prince Ying looked at Marquis Ning'an and his mother, saying sternly, "Who are you?" The Marchioness of Ning'an didn't recognize him, pointing at him and jumping up. "Shen Nanzhi, are you the bastard born of this wild man? Good! Quick, arrest them! If we don't drown you today, the Qi family will lose face." The guards from the Marquis of Ning'an's manor rushed up to grab Prince Ying. And me. Prince Ying shouted sternly, "Presumptuous!" The late Prince Ying was the Empress Dowager's second legitimate son, but alas, he died young, leaving behind only Prince Ying as his sole heir. The Empress Dowager doted on this imperial grandson extraordinarily and raised him personally, because he lost his father while still in swaddling clothes. The Empress Dowager doted on him even more than she loved the crown prince. With such noble imperial lineage, a true golden branch and jade leaf, when he let out a violent shout, his royal aura poured forth, startling those guards so much they didn't dare to act. Sheng stepped forward. "Why haven't you acted yet?" "Shen Nanzhi, I originally wanted to leave you some dignity, give you a title, and let you enter the family, but I never expected you to be this kind of person. If we hadn't suddenly come over, I am afraid we wouldn't have discovered your scandalous affair." The Marchioness started shouting and screaming, even making a scene all the way outside the main gate, drawing the commoners outside to crowd around. "Everyone come take a look. The Shen family raised this kind of shameless daughter, cheating with a man behind her fiancé's back, and she even gave birth to a bastard daughter. Pa, a piece of trash like this still wants to marry into our Qi family, dream on." Song Linger fanned the flames from the side. "Sister, since you are betrothed to my husband, how could you betray my husband and do such a shameful thing? You are disgracing the Marquis manor like this. How will you enter the family in the future? Where is the heir supposed to put his face?" The commoners started pointing and whispering. "No way, eldest Miss Shen doesn't look like that kind of person. Yea, she is usually so well-mannered. Maybe there has been some misunderstanding." Zhenju had long been scared into crying by the Marchioness's shouting and screaming. "Mommy, I am scared." I picked her up and comforted her. "Juju, don't be scared." Lady Who pointed at me and shouted, "Did you hear that? That child called her mother." Now the evidence is conclusive. What do you all think? Shouldn't we drown him in a pig cage? Prince Ying laughed. "In all my life, this is the first time I've seen someone say they want to drown me in a pig cage. That is actually fresh." If I hadn't known Prince Ying for over a month, I wouldn't dare believe that the famous His Highness Prince Ying is actually someone who loves joining in the fun so much. I looked at him reproachfully. Your Highness, this is no joking matter. The late arriving Marquis of Ning'an looked at the Shen family's main gate, which was surrounded by an impenetrable crowd, and squeezed his way in. What happened? As soon as the Marchioness of Ning'an saw the Marquis arrive, she felt she had someone to take charge. Her back straightened instantly, and she ordered the servants. With the Marquis here, are we afraid the Shen family, and this wild man will turn the sky upside down, tie them up, and parade them through the streets? Marquis Ning'an listened to the commoners chattering about me having a bastard with a wild man. He raised his eyes to look at that wild man and locked eyes with Prince Ying. The next second, with a thud, Marquis Ning'an knelt on the ground, kowtowing in panic. Your Highness, my wife was blind and failed to recognize your Highness. Please forgive us. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. Immediately he hissed sternly at the Marchioness Sheng and Songlinger. Hurry up and kneel to ask for forgiveness. This is His Highness Prince Ying. The Marchioness's face, so arrogant just a moment ago, instantly turned deathly pale. Sheng looked ashen, and Songlinger went limp and collapsed onto the ground. The three of them knelt down with a thump and kowtowed desperately. Spare us, your Highness. Spare our lives, your Highness. Cries for mercy rose one after another, and Prince Ying said nonchalantly, the Marquis of Ning'an's Manor sure puts on a grand display of authority. This prince has certainly witnessed it today. The Marquis really ought to properly discipline his wife and son, lest they cause a major disaster in the future that will be difficult to clean up. The Marquis of Ning'an pressed his head against the ground. I know I was wrong. I will definitely teach them a good lesson when I return to the manor. Prince Ying sneered. You disturbed Miss Shen today. You had better apologize properly to her, lest her reputation be ruined. I fear you cannot afford the consequences. The Marchioness immediately chimed in. I understand. I will have someone prepare generous gifts right away and offer a humble apology. Then she looked at me, Nanzhi. It is all Auntie's fault. I was just too eager to secure the marriage and said the wrong thing. Please spare us. I took a step back. I dare not accept Madame's eager proposal. My engagement with the heir was cancelled long ago. The Shen family and the Qi family have no further ties. Madame and the heir, please leave. Zhenzu called out in a milky voice. Daddy, they are bad guys. Zuju doesn't like them. Prince Ying's face turned cold. The commandery princess has already said she doesn't want to see you. Why haven't you got lost yet? The four from the Marquis of Ning'an's manor left the Shen residence in disgrace, watched and mocked by the crowd. In less time than it takes a stick of incense to burn, the Marquis of Ning'an's household sent someone over with a dozen boxes of gifts, saying it was to apologize to me and soothe my shock. I waved my hand to tell the servants to accept them, instructing them, sell these off, and starting tomorrow, distribute porridge outside the estate for 5 days to relieve some poor and suffering people. It can be considered a good deed done by the Marquis of Ning'an's household. Nowadays, the neighboring prefectures and counties are suffering from floods, and there are quite a few refugees in the capital happening upon the Shen residents distributing porridge. They all managed to fill their bellies. Everyone vied to say that the eldest Miss Shen is a bodhisattva descended to the world, kind and beautiful. Over the 5 days of distributing porridge, more and more refugees came to drink it. Seeing this, some madams and noble young ladies in the city also followed suit and set up porridge sheds outside their residences, instantly resolving the hardships of many disaster victims. This matter reached the palace, and the emperor was greatly pleased, worthy of being a daughter of the Shen family. Beloved concubine, your niece is truly excellent, such good upbringing. My aunt looked at the emperor. Although she was around 30, she looked very young, with a complexion fairer than snow and eyes full of tenderness. She said in a charming voice, Your concubine's niece is naturally good, but it is a pity she ran into such scoundrels as the Qi family. A few days ago, my sister-in-law entered the palace and cried to me, worried about Nanzhi's marriage. After speaking, she seemed to be testing the waters and sighed, If it weren't for our Yan, the emperor naturally understood the noble consort's meaning. Taking her hand, he said, "I know, you have only this one niece. So naturally you worry that her status as a merchant's daughter will prevent her from making a good match. I shall issue a decree this instant. Attendants bestow upon the Shen family daughter, Shen Nanzhi, a jade rui scepter, a set of gemstone head ornaments, and a bushel of pearls. She is to be titled County Princess Minyi as a mark of commendation." I was titled a county princess. The entire Shen family was ecstatic. With this identity as a county princess, we no longer had to fear that my marriage prospects would be left up in the air. Not long after the imperial decree arrived at the Shen family, everyone knew the news. There was an endless stream of people coming to offer congratulations, and Sheng rushed over to the Shen house as well. He stopped me in the backyard. "Nanzhi, I've been reflecting on my mistakes behind closed doors at home. I've thought a lot about it, and I know I was wrong. Mother is also preparing to send Song Linger away to the estate, so she definitely won't be an eyesore to you anymore. The child she gives birth to will be raised on the estate and later adopted out. He won't take the title of the eldest son. Once we get married, our child will be the legitimate eldest son. As long as you nod, I'll come back to the Shen family tomorrow to present the betrothal gifts again." "All right. Now that you are County Princess Minyi, you are well matched with the Marquis Ning'an's manor. Mother and father surely won't object anymore." I looked at the tender, fawning expression on his face, and a wave of nausea rose in my heart. I yanked my hand away. "But Chi, you think I am a match for the Marquis of Ning'an's manor. Yet, I don't think you are a match for me. You have concubines before you are even married, and an eldest son born of a concubine to boot. I am a dignified county princess. Why should I lower myself to marry such a person? My Shen family looks down on this sort of marriage." I looked at him with a face full of mockery, exactly the same as how his mother looked at me back then. Just then, the noble ladies admiring flowers in the back garden also came over. Hearing bits and pieces, they covered their mouths and laughed, looking at him with eyes full of disdain. Sheng's face flushed red, and he shouted, "Shen Nanzhi, you are unwilling to marry me simply because you've climbed the high branch of the Prince of Ying. You claim that marrying me means dealing with an illegitimate eldest son, but if you marry the Prince of Ying, aren't you just becoming a stepmother for someone else anyway? Even though you've become a county princess, you still come from a merchant background. Do you really think the Prince of Ying would marry you? Stop dreaming. At most, he'd take you as a concubine. Did you actually think you could be his official consort? Why don't you take a look at your own status? A lowly merchant trying to climb into the royal family, dream on. Let me tell you, besides me, there is no one else in the entire capital willing to marry you." The women of the Shen family are shackled by the word merchant. Even my aunt, who has enjoyed unfailing favor since the day she entered the palace, has been kept down at the rank of consort for a full 10 years because of her lowly birth. I gripped my handkerchief tightly and was just about to retort when I was interrupted. "When did this prince ever say that I wanted to marry Miss Shen as a side consort? It is His Highness Prince Ying, holding Pearl in his arms." The color drained from Sheng's face as he watched His Highness Prince Ying slowly approach, his aura imposing. The heir of Marquis. "Ning'an sure talks big. Aside from you, no one else is willing to marry Miss Shen. Don't you know that, since she broke off the engagement with you, the marriage proposals on her desk are nearly overflowing? Not everyone is as blind as the Ning'an Marquis Manor. Eldest Miss Shen is a well-bred lady from a noble family, virtuous and gentle. This prince fell for her at first sight. I have already informed Imperial grandmother and Imperial uncle. As long as Miss Shen nods, the marriage can be granted immediately." The noble ladies nearby gasped, covering their mouths as they looked at me and Prince Ying, their eyes full of surprise. Sheng stared blankly at His Highness Prince Ying. "But Shen Nanzhi is of lowly birth. How could you be willing to marry her? You might not know yet, but her body is damaged. She cannot bear children." Prince Ying cut him off. "Watch your words, Heir. Miss Shen injured her body to save you. Not only are you ungrateful, but you actually use this to threaten your benefactor. Does a scoundrel like you even deserve to inherit the title? A grown man acting like this is truly despicable. After saying this, Prince Ying motioned to me, "Eldest Miss Shen, Genju has been making a fuss since early morning about coming to find you, so I'll have to trouble you again today." Genju had already thrown herself into my arms. "Mother," Father King said today, "he is taking us to Byway Tower to have the trendy chrysanthemum feast. There are chrysanthemum cakes and chrysanthemum jelly in there." I held Genju's hand and walked slowly outside. "Yes, I know, because I am the one who opened Byway Tower. Also, Genju, you can't call me mother anymore. In the future, your Father King will find you a real mother. Only a noble lady from a high family can be your mother." "Who said that?" Prince Ying suddenly chimed in from behind us, giving me a start. I stared at him wide-eyed. He looked at me quietly. "What I said just now is all true. I have already asked your parents for your hand in marriage. Now I am just waiting for you to nod." After saying that, he lowered his head to look at Genju. Would Genju like Miss Shen to be her mother? Genju blinked her eyes, hugging my leg tightly. "She is Genju's mother." My face flushed red. "But the doctor said my body probably isn't good for childbearing." He interrupted me. "I don't care about that. Having children is a matter of heaven's will. Besides, we still have Genju. If you are willing to marry me, after the wedding, I'll take you to my fief in Jiangyan, far away from all these troubles. You can also expand the Shen family business to Jiangyan. It is prosperous there, and I am sure the Shen business can reach even greater heights." I didn't have the heart to interrupt him. The Shen family business had actually expanded to Jiangyan long ago. Genju saw I wasn't speaking, shook my leg and asked, Mommy, don't you like Genju?" My heart softened into water. I pinched her little dumpling face. "Okay, I am willing to be Genju's mommy." A few days later, the Imperial edict naming me Princess Consort Ying came down. The main gates of the Shen Manor were opened wide to receive the edict, and my aunt also sent close attendants to bestow rewards. The capital was in an uproar. Who could have thought that the Shen family, mere imperial merchants, after producing a noble consort, would actually produce a princess consort too? 2 months ago, Miss Shen was being humiliated by the heir at the gates of the Marquis of Ning'an's residence, yet now she has turned things around to become the unattainable principal wife of Prince Ying. The Marquis of Ning'an's residence instantly became the laughingstock of the capital. If only the heir had married the eldest Miss Shen back then, he'd now be the husband of a county princess, and the noble consort's nephew-in-law. He actually gave up Miss Shen for his cousin because he looked down on her low birth. Serves him right. It is too late to regret it now. That Songlinger looks like a vixen. She hooked up with her cousin and got pregnant on the sly ages ago. She only got in the door by relying on her child. Back when the Marchioness welcomed Songlinger in, she actually had the servants call her the heir's wife. The Ning'an Marquis Manor really isn't picky, huh? The Marquis of Ning'an was in a frantic state at the manor, flying into a rage at the stack of bills the steward brought. The debts to the palace haven't been cleared yet, and the family properties are just about all pawned off. So how are there still bills from shops outside? The steward replied carefully, "My lord, these are all debts the madam and the heir's wife racked up buying things on credit outside. It is the end of the month, so they've all come to collect." The Marchioness of Ning'an snatched the bill and said, "How could we have spent this much?" Then, pointing at the bill for over 5,000 taels, she shouted, "Where did these bills from Byway Tower and Jingshu Pavilion come from? In the past, when we went to make dresses, buy jewelry, and eat, there was never a bill. Why is there one now?" The steward wiped the sweat from his forehead. Those shopkeepers said that before, it was because Miss Shen was engaged to the heir, and Miss Shen gave the word that people from the Marquis of Ning'an's manor were not to be charged for anything they bought. But now that their young lady has no more ties with the Marquis of Ning'an's manor, this money naturally has to be collected. They also brought out the bills from the previous 2 years, saying it totals 30,000 taels, and want the Marquis of Ning'an's manor to pay it back. If it isn't paid within a month, she will sue at the yamen. The Marquis of Ning'an's face turned livid, and the Marchioness of Ning'an slumped into her chair. That vicious woman. I knew she was up to no good. She actually dares to ask me for payment. I am going to take this bill and throw it in her face. The Marquis of Ning'an slammed the table. You shut your mouth. The Shen family has broken off the engagement with our family. Where do you get the nerve to go to their shops and take things? You still have the nerve to go to her door. Do you dare? She is Princess Ying now. Paying back debts is only right and proper. You know regret now. But why didn't you think of these consequences when you were plotting against her and manipulating her back then? I don't care how you spent it. Whether you sell things or return them, come up with the silver for me and pay it back. If it is not enough, use yours and Songlinger's own dowries to fill it. Otherwise, just wait for the Qi family to become the laughingstock of the whole capital in a month. If you dare ruin the reputation of the Marquis of Ning'an's Manor, I will divorce you. After saying this, he flung his hand and left. The Marchioness of Ning'an wailed hysterically. Heavens, Shen Nanzhi, you have such a cruel heart to actually harm me like this. My dowry, what am I going to do? Songlinger collapsed crying into Sheng's arms. Husband, I didn't know anything. I just went shopping with mother. I only took the things because she said they didn't cost any silver. Now that the fabric has been cut into dresses, how can I return them? But the Marchioness of Ning'an grabbed onto Sheng again. Shenger, think of a way Shen Nanzhi likes you so much. Go coax her. If you coax her well, we won't have to pay back the money. Sheng flung her off. You might be shameless, but I still care about my face. The Marchioness looked at him with gritted teeth and red eyes. I am shameless? Who was it that hooked up with Linger before the wedding and came up with ways to manipulate Shen Nanzhi during the wedding, who caused this disaster? And now you say I am shameless. If you hadn't broken faith with her first, how would she have called off the engagement? How would our Marquis of Ning'an's Manor have fallen to this state? The Marquis of Ning'an's Manor was in a chaotic mess. The Marchioness of Ning'an sold off her own dowry and the accompanying lands, but they were still short by a large amount. Even Songlinger's dowry was completely sold off, yet they were still short 5,000 taels of silver. Seeing the deadline approaching, the Marquis of Ning'an gritted his teeth, had the brokerage sell the Marquis Manor, and moved his whole family into a small 3-courtyard compound. There were no longer the gardens and lakes of the past, just a cramped and small 3-courtyard compound. But Prince Ying had had a word with the brokerage, and people in the capital knew why the Marquis of Ning'an's household was selling the house, so no one was willing to offer a high price. The price dropped lower and lower, and finally the Marquis Manor was sold for a price several thousand taels of silver below market value. Holding the little bit of silver left, the Marchioness wiped her red, swollen eyes. How can our Marquis of Ning'an's household live in a place like this? How will I host the other ladies in the future? Where will I put my face? Smack. The Marquis of Ning'an slapped her across the face. If it weren't for the good deeds you and your son did, how would our Marquis of Ning'an's household have fallen so low? If you dare to stir up any more trouble in the future, then get the hell back to the ancestral home. I didn't care one bit about the spectacle at the Marquis of Ning'an's Manor because I had plenty of things to keep me busy. Ever since the Imperial decree bestowing the marriage came down, Zhenju has been staying at the Shen house and refuses to leave. She lives with me every day and never wants to go back to Prince Ying's manor. Sighing, Prince Ying forced the Imperial astronomers to move the auspicious wedding date up again and again. The result was that I'd be getting married in just a month. On the day of the wedding, everyone in the capital came to watch the festivities. Wearing the attire of a princess consort and a phoenix crown, I stepped into the bridal sedan chair. The bridal sedan passed a place that felt familiar. It was the former Ning'an Marquis Manor. I had bought it and opened a charity hall to house some refugees and poor people. Inside, people teach them a trade, give them food to eat, and ensure they have a roof over their heads. In that crowd, I saw a familiar face. It was Sheng. He was wearing an old brocade robe, and beside him was Songlinger with her big belly. Songlinger's hair was unadorned, and she wore coarse clothing looking just like an ordinary commoner coming to collect porridge. The two looked haggard, with none of their former triumph left. I gently lowered the red veil, gripped the jade ruyi in my hand tightly, looked at the tall and handsome prince Ying riding on his horse in front of the sedan, and thought of little Pearl, who would call me mother. I gave a light laugh. When the wedding night comes, I will tell Prince Ying that the Imperial physician my aunt sent me is very effective. I am fully recovered now, and in the future, we will surely have many children and enjoy the bliss of family life.